the MAWJ line from Paris Corner, 3 clones of 3 original scents from Kilian. Let's review them. Hello friends, I'm George, the nice medic gentleman. Welcome back to the channel guys, I hope that all of you are doing well. It's time for your daily dose of some fragrance content, and today I'll be reviewing 3 of the brand new scents from the brand of Paris Corner that are part of the MAWJ line and are called Moocha Appletini, Conac Blaze and Mosco Mule. And as I said in the beginning of the video, all 3 of the fragrances that I'm going to review today are cloning original Kilian scents. And the first one that I'm going to talk about in a little bit more details about will be the green one, which is called Moocha Appletini. Let's put the other 2 on the side for a moment. And let's talk about Moocha Appletini. This one is a clone of Kilian's Apple Brandies on the Rock. Now, when it comes to the actual packaging, all 3 look very similar. The bottles of all 3 fragrances look very similar. That's why I'm going to show you just one box. It doesn't make any sense to show you the rest because they look the same. It has magnetic edges. You open up the box like this. The details around here are 100 ml bottle size, EDP concentration, and all of them have a production date of January of 2024. Enough with the actual box. This is how the bottle looks, pretty similar to the original fragrance, at least shape-wise. You get a plastic cap, which is a snug fit, and all around you get a nice heft. I would say that all 3 fragrances come nicely packaged and look pretty decent. Let me show you the sprayer of Moocha Appletini in action, and then I'll talk about the scent itself. All 3 of the fragrances actually have very decent sprayers. They feel almost pressurized and they have really good distribution. And the scent itself, as I said, this is a clone of Kilian's Apple Brandies on the Rock, and it smells quite similar to the original fragrance, although I don't feel like this being a straight up 1-to-1 clone to the original. Opens up very fruity and very strong. The 2 dominant notes in the opening of this fragrance to my nose are the notes of apple and pineapple. I know that some people pick up a stronger apple note, but to my nose actually the pineapple note is a little bit stronger, maybe even feeling a little bit overwhelming. I get some spices in the opening, some ambery sweetness, maybe a hint of musk somewhere in the background, and all around and also a boozy note. Now the boozy note is not super strong, it's not super loud, but it's definitely there. The opening is quite sharp, quite strong, maybe even feels a little bit synthetic, and it's very sweet and fruity. And to be honest, I'm not a huge fan of the opening of this fragrance, just especially up close. This smells quite synthetic, but at the same time has really nice push and it's quite strong. On the dry down, the fragrance mellows up a little bit, you lose some of the spiciness, some of the booziness as well. The dry down to my nose is a mix of some ouds, still those very sweet fruity notes, the pineapple and the apple note, a bit of ambery sweetness, and some musk somewhere in the background. It's nicely done, except for that first few minutes where this feels a little bit sharp and synthetic, at least to my nose. It feels quite similar to the original scent from Kilian, but at the same time doesn't feel like a straight up clone, although probably if you are familiar with the original and you smell Moocha Appletini, you'll definitely pick up that this has been inspired by that original scent from Kilian. When it comes to performance, this is a strong fragrance, especially when it comes to projection. The total longevity is not super beastly. I've been getting about 8 hours of total longevity, but where this shines is the projection. This projects really strong for 2, even maybe up to 3 hours if you overspray a little bit. So performance wise, this is a strong fragrance, especially when it comes to projection. Price wise, all 3 are similarly priced, and they cost somewhere around about the 30-35 euro mark, at least here in Europe, which makes them a good deal considering the original scents from Kilian often tend to be very expensive. And then when it comes to versatility, this is quite a versatile fragrance. It's perfectly unisex in my opinion, can work pretty much all year round, maybe apart from the hottest months of the year. And now let's move on to the second fragrance from the MAWJ line, which is called Mosco Mule, and this one is a clone of Blue Moon Ginger Dash from Kilian's. And again, this doesn't feel like a straight up clone, it feels like a little bit of a twist, like an interpretation. Again, you get a very similar bottle design. The box is actually absolutely identical, apart from the name on the box. But this bottle looks a little bit different to the other two, down to the fact that it has this frosted finish, which I really like a lot, to be honest. And the juice inside has this sort of a bluish tint to it. Also, I think this bottle is the best looking bottle out of the three. But again, enough about bottles and presentations and stuff like that. Let's talk about the actual scent of Mosco Mule. Again, another great sprayer. And the fragrance itself is very, very fresh. It opens up quite spicy, it opens up very clean, very fresh, and with a strong vodka note in the opening. Feels very clean at the same time, maybe has a bit of a green touch to it. After about a minute or two is where the lemon note and the mint note start to kick in, giving this one even more freshness compared to the actual opening, the first few seconds of the life of this fragrance. It also feels a little bit spicy and maybe a hint musky, somewhere in the background. It's a quite fresh, quite a strong, spicy, fresh, clean, slightly green opening. When this goes into the dry down, it doesn't change that much, apart from the fact that some of the freshness goes away. This becomes a little bit more musky on the dry down. Maybe somewhere in the background there's a hint of some woodsy notes. It's very musky and it remains quite fresh and quite feeling, clean feeling fragrance. All around it's nicely done. This one, I actually prefer this one over Moocha Appletini because this lacks the synthetic harshness that I pick up out of Moocha Appletini in the first few minutes. But this is a way fresher scent that, in my opinion, this leans more to the masculine side. When it comes to how close it is to the original, just like Moocha Appletini, you definitely pick up the similarities between this one and the original, but again, doesn't feel like a straight up clone, although in the air smells pretty similar to the original scent from Kilian. Performance-wise, this is probably the weakest fragrance out of all three, but this is to be expected because it has the freshest scent out of all three. And still, for the type of scent profile that it carries, it actually is a pretty decently performing scent. Personally, I've been getting about 7 hours of performance with, again, quite strong projection, but this time around in the first hour and a half, Moocha Appletini is definitely a stronger projecting scent, but still, again, for the fresh profile of Mosco Mule, I think it offers quite a decent performance. Price-wise, again, very similar, 30-35 euros across the board, which still makes it a great deal compared to the price of the original scent. And versatility-wise, this one, to my nose, leans to the masculine side. This is definitely more orientated towards the warmer months of the year. It's a fresh type of scent. It feels more like a daily, a daytime scent. And the last one that I'm going to talk about will be Conac Blaze, again from the very same MAWJ line. Now this one is inspired by Kilian's Angel Share, but this is again more like an inspiration, more like a heavy twist rather than a straight up clone. Again, identical bottle design, like all the rest of the members of the MAWJ line, identical packaging, pretty much feeling the same way. This one, though, for some reason has a slightly looser cap compared to the other two. At least my bottles are that way. I have it sprayed here earlier on, but I'll respray so I can show you the sprayer in action. Again, another very, very good sprayer. And the scent itself, first of all, I'm going to straight up tell you that this is my most favorite one out of all three. This is a clone with a heavy twist of Angel Share, but it has a very interesting twist. Now, the first thing that you should need to know about this fragrance is that it has a strong coffee note, which makes it a very interesting addition to the whole scent profile of the OG Angel Share. This opens up sweet, but not overly sweet. The coffee note is quite strong in the beginning, feels a hint bitter. It's like a sort of an espresso coffee note, and I really like the smell of espresso, freshly made espresso. Also, this has a cognac note, a boozy note, but it's not very strong. It's not as strong as you get with Angel Share, for example, but it's definitely there. And maybe, you get some spices, some oud somewhere in the background, but this Also, there's a hint of citrusy sort of freshness from a mandarin or an orange note, which, combined with the coffee, the sweetness and the boozy note makes for a very, very interesting and quite unique opening. That's very different to Angel Share. It's quite different to the Hamra, to Sharaf Blend and all the rest of the great clones of Angel Share. And this is a very, very interesting and unique opening. On the dry down, this actually dries to something very similar to Angel Share. Still though, feels less sweet compared to Angel Share. This feels less boozy than Angel Share, maybe a slightly more spicy, and also the coffee note is still there on the dry down as well. All around, the whole scent profile and the way that Paris Corner have combined the notes in here makes for a very, very interesting and quite unique smelling fragrance. When it comes to how close this fragrance is to the original, again, not a straight up clone, more like a heavy twist. This feels like a mix between the OG Latafa Hamra, the Latafa Hamra Hawa, and Angel Share, standing somewhere in the middle between all those three fragrances. But it's a nice hidden fragrance, very smooth, and I'm a big fan of Conac Blaze. When it comes to performance, very good performance. I get about 9 hours of performance out of it. Probably this is the longest lasting out of all three, but the way that this is a little bit different than the other two, especially to MAWJ Appletini, is by its projection. It projects nicely for about 2 hours, but MAWJ Appletini is definitely the one that projects stronger. But when it comes to total longevity, Conac Blaze actually on my skin lasts for about an hour over over MAWJ Appletini. So it's a very strong performing scent. Price wise, again, exactly the same, 30 to 35 euros, again making it a good deal. And versatility wise, another perfectly unisex scent that's great for the cold weather and especially for nighttime usage. And at the end, a few final words about the three fragrances from the MAWJ line and Paris Corner. All three are very interesting clones with twists of original Kilian fragrances. If I have to pick up some fragrance that for me is my personal favorite, that will be Conac Blaze, just simply because it feels very, very smooth, because it has great performance and offers quite an unique twist on the original scent of Angel Share. Still having some booziness, still having the sweetness, but also adding a very nice, coffee note, which just changes the scent profile enough for me to make it unique and stand out in my opinion. And I've been really impressed by Conac Blaze. My second favorite will be Mosco Mule. It's a very nice, very fresh, very clean smelling a fragrance that's great for the warm weather, and to my nose feels masculine. And MAWJ Appletini is probably my least favorite, especially because of the strong and slightly synthetic opening that I don't enjoy that much. But this actually is also a very, very good performing scent, especially when it comes to projection. Lasts for a long time and projects pretty beastly in my opinion. But that's it for me. The most, my most favorite out of the three is Conac Blaze. So guys, in today's video I reviewed the whole MAWJ line from the brand of Paris Corner. MAWJ Appletini, MAWJ Mosco Mule and MAWJ Conac Blaze. I hope that you found this video interesting or helpful. If you did, give it a like, and I also hope that you're going to join me tomorrow for your daily dose of some fragrance content. And until then, stay safe and bye bye.